I'm going to make a prediction here. Worf and Raffi are going to come back. They're going to see the situation. They're going to board the Shrike. And they're going to rescue Riker and Deanna, if Deanna is on board the Shrike. Ooh, I do love being right. Howdy y'all, I am Adam the Renaissance Nerd, and welcome to my continuing review of Picard Season 3, this week, Episode 8 of 10, Surrender. Well, this is not a complicated episode. This is an episode of resolution. A lot of things come to an end. A lot of things get brought back together, namely the crew of the Enterprise D/E. And we are now opening the door to the final questions of the show, with 2 episodes to go after this. I've struggled all day trying to wrap my head around is there a theme to this episode? Because you guys know I like to talk about themes. I like to try and pull ideas together, have something to talk about. And in the end, not really. There's not really a lot of a heavy introspection in the show, except for the whole data lore stuff. That's about as deep as we get, and a little bit into Jack, but next episode is going to be the heavy Jack stuff. There's a little bit of Riker, Deanna stuff, but it's kind of schmoopy, a little mushy, a little over the top for a moment there. But I think the theme of this episode is hope. Hope, understanding. I think that's about it, though. But there's some really great moments in this. You already saw with the opening clip. Worf continues to be the MVP of this season. Worf saves the day. Worf always is. He's there at the right moment, and it's great. I love Worf. Anyway, we're just gonna go right into it. I don't have much more to say. We'll go through it. I'll stop when I want to make my points. And we reach the end, and then we will be unfortunately have to in the position of waiting for another week to get more answers and to enjoy ourselves. So without further ado, let's get into Episode 8, Surrender.
Attention crew of the Federation starship USS Titan. This is your captain speaking.
Ooh, let's not waste time. Let's dive right in. We pick up exactly where we left off from last episode. Vadic has taken over the Titan. Their plan to bait her into a trap has completely failed because largely in part to Lore's interference. They are intrepid crew of the Titan/Enterprise were forced to deal with 2 enemies at once, one of them who knows them very well and another one who is ruthless. Well, they're both ruthless, but let's be honest, I'm more afraid of Lore because of the history of Lore than I really am of Vadic, although Vadic has her issues. Point being, their plan failed. The crew of the Titan ended up being broken apart, and as we begin this episode, Vadic, as you see, she's taunting our crew, and while she's taunting, she busy is shutting off vital systems that would allow any sort of insurgency with the remaining free members of the crew. Turns off communications, sensors, all kinds of stuff, and then her changeling thugs go about massacring some of the crew who are not armed, who this and that. It's a bloodbath. People dying, you hear the screams, this and that, and then she taunts them. Spend some time taunting. Oh, I am your captain, and I will stop all of this if Jack simply comes to the bridge. It's all about Jack. It's all about whatever's going on in Jack's brain. We're going to get a little more clues to that before I think we're going to get all our answers next week. Of course, we got a problem. Now, last week I said that it looked like you had Data and Geordi working together. No, we get a jump cut to what's going on in that engineering bay, and Data shut down again because apparently his temporary victory over Lore was just that, temporary. Lore is not dealt with. Lore is still a problem. So Data's been shut down. Geordi's unplugging him from the ship system so Lore can't interfere anymore. But at the same time, Vadic is shutting everything down, blocking exits, everything. It's a nightmare. Back in sickbay, Jack wants to turn himself in to stop this, but Beverly, Picard, they say no. No. We're not. She's Picard says, no, don't you understand? She's going to kill us all. The minute she has you, we're all dead. They manage to talk Jack down. Sydney's there too, and we're going to get into a moment of, in a second, Jack's going to give a little bit of a more revelation to his parents, what's going on. But before that, though, Jack gets sucked back into his I don't even know what to call it. I don't want to call it a link. I don't want to call it a collective, because we don't know what it is. His telepathy, his control, his domination ability, I guess. He goes into it, and for a moment, he zaps into a rando security officer in the hallway. He hears his thoughts, trying to do, and he takes control for a second and we see some bodies until a changeling comes along and ganks the poor son of a bitch. And then it zaps Jack out of it, and that's when he wants to flee, and they talk him down. Here's the thing, though. Vadic issues a demand. If you do not come up here, Jack, 10 minutes from now, and every 10 minutes afterwards, for you not being on the bridge to surrender yourself, I'm going to kill somebody on the bridge. He's got a bunch of captives. You saw him in the moment ago, including Shaw and Seven and the bridge crew. Jack, again, tries to do it, but they convince him, no. We have to work together on this. Meanwhile, again, we're just rolling through this. Meanwhile, on the Shrike, we confirm Riker's alive and Deanna is there. They're in a cell together. Through a little conversation with each other, we get a little back and forth between them. Funny wordplay, this and that. Honestly, the Riker Deanna stuff in this episode is kind of weak. It's the weakest part of this episode. You ask me. It's a little mushy at times, as I said in the intro. This first interaction between them, it's Deanna reveals changelings came. She knew it wasn't them. She can't read a changeling, so I guess that's an important fact to know. She can't read a changeling, but she knew it wasn't him. They joke a bit about the changeling being better in bed than him and better and not making good pizza, whatever. I'm not really amused by their interaction. Mainly partial also because I have a thing against Marina Sirtis these days. I don't really want to see or hear from her, but we're stuck with Deanna for the remainder of the season, and she's going to play a very important role in the next episode, so I'm going to have to deal with that on my own way and just kind of detach and watch the episode, which I think I can do. I think I'm at that point. Either way, they have a conversation, and it ends with Picard. They're worried that they screwed up leading the Titan into this trap with the false prefix code. And Riker says, I think by now Jean-Luc has Vadic all set up and ready to go over in a classic Picard trap. And then we cut, no, everything's a disaster. We get reminded very quickly, everything's a disaster. It's all falling apart. And we're back on the bridge. And here's a very important thing right now. Again, at times, maybe one could say it hasn't had enough light shown upon it, but the relationship between Shaw and Seven is very interesting, where, again, he wants to call her Commander Hansen, not Commander Seven, and it's a very interesting exchange right here, where they're talking with each other. He basically chastises her for letting her emotions get the better of her, not blowing up the turbo lift when she knew it had to be a trap with them coming up, when he and Vadic and her thug were coming up the turbo lift. Says you should have done it. We go back to the classic theme from Star Trek. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one, which was turned over in 3 and 4, where Kirk then will say to Spock, in our case, we decided the needs of the one outweighed the needs of the many. But in this case, Shaw's a firm believer the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one. He's angry that Seven didn't sacrifice him to keep Vadic from getting on the bridge. And she says, no, I'm not going to lose any more crew members. And he says, no, that's not your call. You're a Starfleet officer. You have to make the tough calls, and at some point, you're going to have to choose. You can't let emotion guide you. You must follow the proper chain of course, proper path in order to find victory. And they basically agreed it's Greek because there's even an exchange. Call me. And she at one point we said Commander Hanson. She goes, no, my name is Seven. My name is 7 of 9. I'm not Hanson. Again, I disagree. I don't think they should have gone that route. I think that 7 should have become Annika again. I've always been a believer of that. Ever since Voyager, I've always been a believer that at one point she would stop calling herself 7 and call herself Annika. That's just me. How do you feel about that? You let me know. We could discuss it. We're going to discuss this at a later point. Trust me. This whole season. I got an idea. Thinking about it. Back in the med bay, back in sick bay, though, we're coming up with a plan. Jack confesses to his parents, there's something wrong with me. I can get in people's heads, and I can make them do stuff. Beverly does a scan, says he's not suffering delusions. Sydney says, no, he's telling the truth. He's telling the truth. He did it with me, saved my life. And we get a little moment. Again, here's where I say part of the theme of this episode is trust and understanding. Jack, as we've seen for a couple episodes now, has been going on these monologues about how he doesn't feel connected to anything. He doesn't trust anybody because he's afraid of himself. He's afraid of what's inside him. And right there, when he confesses these feelings to his parents, pure trust, the love of parents on display. We trust you. Beverly says, I love you. I'm not going anywhere. And Picard says, I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here with you. And they trust him, and they start to form a plan. Put a plan together. As Vadic now says, it's almost time. It's almost time. Jack, where are you? Plan is this. Jack is able to reach out and commandeer Bajoran security officer dude. Or tactical officer. Bajoran tactical officer putting Picard's prefix code to override something. And it's a delaying tactic, but they manage to get it off. But Vadic catches it and now says, that's it. Somebody got to die. And after a lengthy speech where she terrorizes everybody all the bridge crew captive, she breaks off and ganks a Vulcan science officer. Bye-bye, Vulcan science officer. We hardly knew ye. Everybody's just, God damn it, now what? They don't know what to do. She says, okay, 10 minutes. 10 minutes and I kill another one. Well, break. Jumping scenes. We are off to the Shrike.
I have thought of your empathic gifts often during my self-evaluation.
Well, that's wonderful.
Inappropriate.
The work that I've done on myself, the level of sensitivity that I have achieved, has been in more ways than one.
Is this a rescue mission or a continuation of the torture?
I already spoiled what kind of happens here with my intro because, hey, I had to show that I predicted it would happen. Am I going to pass up a chance to show that I was right? Of course not. Anywho, but to go in order now, we cut back to Riker and Deanna, who are having a heart-to-heart over their relationship and moving on from the Kurtzman trick inflicted pain upon them. Let's just say, I'm not going to spend time on it. It's a lot of crap that I guess you need some Kurtzman trick knowledge for not about. Bottom line, they managed to completely reconnect with one another. They understand they hate where they live, and they need to move on, and they must survive so that their daughter is not left all alone. They must survive. That's all you really need out of that. Trust and hope. Again, theme, trust and hope. But a changeling comes a-knocking. Riker tries to defend his wife, but changeling's armed, ready to do it. And just when you think something bad's going to happen, Worf. Dun 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 dun. I love the music. Classic Klingon music. Worf ganks the changeling, and I love the efficiency. And now this is also showing the weakness of these evolved changelings, these genetically altered changelings. There is once upon a time, stabbing a changeling wouldn't mean a damn thing because there's nothing to stab. They are just, to later on quote date in this episode, they're just protoplasm. They're just goop. They're goop. There's no internal organs to wound. No, by adapting themselves so completely to have internal organs, while they're doing that, it's part of who they are. And therefore, Worf, being the strategist that he is, the great warrior that he is, yeah, I'm going to stab you through your fake heart, and that's going to cause your fake body to go into a spasm. And then while you're on the ground, I'm going to shoot you with a phaser and put you out of your goopy misery. Yes, I love that. That's just great tactics by Worf. I'm going to stab you, then I'm going to shoot you to make sure you're dead. Worf saves the day. And now here, this is a great part, though. And again, this is Terry Matalas' influence as somebody who understands Trek. We remember back in Season 7 of TNG where they sort of sent us down a possible Worf-Deanna romance, which they quickly abandoned once they went to the movies. They ran away from that real fast. And especially when Worf went over to DS9. Worf starts to, Deanna's so happy to see that he's there, and Worf starts to sort of, for a second you think he's hitting on her. Deanna, Counselor, I've longed to see you for all these years. You've always been on my mind. And Riker's going, what are you doing? Hitting my wife, basically. It's great exchange. Frakes' expression is priceless. Worf and Michael Dorn deadpanning his way through it is awesome. Deanna looks a little flustered, lets it happen, and it turns into the clip I just showed you, Worf praising her for her counseling techniques that he learned for all those years. Because remember, that was a major theme in TNG, Worf going to therapy once Alexander was on board the ship. It's a great moment. He's thanking her for helping him find balance. And then that's a great Riker line you saw in the clip. I thought the torture was over. What is this? It's great. It's a lot of fun. I laughed, I chuckled, I smiled. It's great. There's a little humor interjected into a great tense scene. I love it. Now, though, we pick up the Shrike. Basically, we learn the Shrike has got a skeleton crew, and Worf and Raffi have kind of taken care of them. They took care of him. Like I said, they would. We don't see it. It's basically implied. Then Raffi is, of course, back. La la la. Raffi's involved in one of the only scenes in this episode that I thought I rolled my eyes at, just because it's why. Well, we'll get to it later in Act 3. We are now got Worf, we got Raffi, we got Deanna, we got Riker. They're gathering intel on the Shrike. They find Picard's biological body and learn that the changelings have taken out the parts of his brain that were affected by Irumodic syndrome, which we are now, as we learned in last episode, perhaps it was a misdiagnosis, that he didn't have Irumodic syndrome, that it's something else that is now manifested in Jack. Bloomed, one could say. They download all the information, and then it's time to just get the hell out of there. We're not going to wait. We get the hell out. They get on the ship. They've got a cloaked shuttle. There was a quick little moment. You could see they're on a cloaked shuttle. They get off the Shrike, and now they're just going to try and get back onto the Titan. But the problem is communications are off. Riker can't get through. Now we're back on the Titan, and we realize, okay, what's the plan? The sickbay crew, Picard, Beverly, Sydney, and Jack are trying to take advantage of the override that they initiated, but Sydney, she's not an engineer, says in a year I could develop a code that could get through this. My dad could do it in a month, but we don't have time. We got less than 10 minutes before Vadic starts killing again. We would need some sort of super android brain. Oh, let's go to engineering, because we have an android and we have data. We cut to the engineering bay. The door busts open. Geordi pulls a phaser. We shoot. Geordi's got a phaser out. Who are you? Here comes the sick bay crew. They all have phasers out. Who are you? There's an exchange between Geordi and Jean-Luc. Memory exchange, proving they know who they are. Little humorous. I like it. It's okay. Then we go about the business. We need data. We need data to save the day. Here, I predicted this last week as well. Data was going to be involved in saving the day. Problem is, like I said at the beginning of the review, I misinterpreted where we were at the end of last episode. Data is not in control. Lore is still there. The partition is still keeping them apart. But they have to take the partition down. They decide they have to risk it all. They must take the partition down and allow Data to try and defeat Lore. So they do it. I'm going to do a little bit of jumping around here because I want to spend an entire segment of the review talking about Data and Lore. Basically, plan is this. They need Data. They need to buy time. Jack surrenders himself to the bridge. Makes a deal with Vadic. I'm ready to go with you. Let them go. But before she does that, when she lets all the rest of the bridge crew go into a back room, then he pulls out what looks like a grenade. I would say thermal detonator, but this is Star Trek, not Star Wars. Seven decides to stay, as Shaw says, "What are you doing?" Saying, "Dealing with my consequences of her decisions," as they discussed in the previous scenes. Seven will now be witness to what goes on between Jack and Vadic, and we're going to have an exchange between them. Basically, boiled down to the bottom thing, Vadic tries to taunt and tempt Jack into going with her, but Jack ain't having it. Jack is there to delay. Jack pretends to be weakening some points, but he's there to buy time for Data. And now, let's talk Data and Lore, which is perhaps the core of this episode. Title is Surrender. And at one point, it's commenting it looks like Data is surrendering to Lore. But this is where I talk about hope and understanding. And this is the core of the episode right here.
Tell me, why are you giving me these things? Because you have had nothing, while I have had everything.
I reiterate, this is the core of the episode. The episode is titled Surrender. And I thought sometimes the titles of these episodes don't always tell you exactly where it's going to go, or they just hint, or it's a nostalgia thing. But this, when I first saw the episode, I thought, oh shit, this doesn't bode well for anybody. Surrender. Oh man, there is no surrender. Never give up, never surrender. Data versus Lore. As I said before in the previous segment, they need Data to win this. They need his ability to jack into the ship, take over, and override everything Vadic has done, because if Lore did it, Data can do it. Problem is, Lore is there. Geordi sets everything up, goes to Data. Data, if you can hear us, you better buckle up. You're in for a ride. And here it is. It's Data. There's nothing that anybody can do. This is a fight for Data on his own. And that's an interesting thing. Data chooses not to fight. Of course, it's kind of obvious what's going to happen when this begins, but you go inside, you can see it's a white room. It's basically Data's mind, or the shared consciousness of Data and these other personalities that have been programmed, downloaded, uploaded into this positronic brain. Lore begins to taunt him right away. What do you know? You're nothing but an automaton. You never had emotion. You cling to these memories. And this is cool. You hear sound bites from classic TNG episodes, little Sherlock Holmes, this and that. And we basically go through this entire confrontation of Lore lording, kind of that little tongue twister, Lore lording his accomplishments, his belief system over Data. Trophies mean everything. And that's key. That was key. You don't realize it until the final part of Data's plan, how to win this. Lore is stronger in a sense because he has all that emotion, all that fuel and hatred to burn, and Data is the logical one. He looks at everything calmly. He doesn't overreact. Lore's aggression gives him the advantage in this, because Data also, like Geordi says before this, Data's ethical programming doesn't allow him to kill. He can't just attack Lore and kill him. His ethical programming says no. But Lore doesn't have that. Therefore, Data's at a disadvantage. As I said, Lore taunts him. Look at you. A trophy means power. That's accomplishment. Everything I've done, my trophies are accomplishments. What do you have? Your pathetic memories. Nothing. You cling to these things. They give you no power. Nothing at all. And it seems Data begins to question it. Well, what are my memories then? Okay. And at one point, we keep cutting back. Now, remember, I'm doing this out of order of the episode because I want to just focus on this scene. I don't want to break it up or anything. We keep cutting back to what's going on the ship, but during that, we get moments of Picard and Geordi fretting, watching as Lore's red overtakes Data's blue on the positronic brain map on the console. Geordi's saying there's nothing we can do. It looks like Data's surrendering. He's giving up. He's not even fighting back. And they're going, Data, don't give up. You can fight this. But Data is giving up. We see he keeps handing Lore his memories. And these are great callbacks. He hands him his 3D photograph of Tasha, which is one of Data's most prized memories and was once upon a time, before it got blowed up, one of his most prized possessions because of the intimacy he shared with Tasha that one time. Then he keeps handing things over, and at one point, it's really great. Spot, of course, that's not Spot, the original cat. That cat's probably dead now. There've probably been several Spots. But you see Spot, Data's cat. Data, if you know your TNG lore, Data owned a cat because it was supposed to help him discover what it meant to care for something else and deal with something that has emotions that are not yours. Spot was a great thing, and Data picks it up, he's petting the cat, and says, this little creature, this animal, perhaps taught me more about loving something else than anybody else. Because a pet, when cared for, will give you unconditional love. Same as a parent's money, as we talked about earlier with Beverly and Picard when Jack was confessing his fears to them. They gave him unconditional love there. A pet, when cared for, will give you all the happiness that you give to it will give it back to you. And it's beautiful. And he hands Spot to Lore, says, this is Spot. Take care of Spot too. These memories for me. And we cut to finally the final part. Again, this is TNG lore. All the poker games. One of the standby scenes of a TNG episode for 7 years. The poker games. The entire original season ends. The original series ends on a poker game when Picard finally joins them. Data goes, here, this represents all my fond memories of playing poker with my friends. It's yours now. Take it. And you see Lore goes, why are you giving this to me? Because these are your memories now. You've won. I want you to cherish them like I cherish them. Lore wins. Or does he? No, Lore doesn't win. This was Data's plan all along. For a second, you see the red map all over the place. However, Data, that sly fox. Sometimes, in order to win, you have to lose. The old theme of got to give a little bit, got to sacrifice something to get the real win. Data sacrificed all his memories because he understood his brother more than his brother understood him. He knew Lore would not delete those memories. Instead, as Data says when he suddenly returns into their shared consciousness, I knew you wouldn't get rid of these because they are your trophies. Your conquest over me. Problem is, when you absorb these memories, you absorbed me, and you made me the stronger personality. Therefore, brother, I win. Instead of Data vanishing, Lore's consciousness vanishes because Data overrode him with love. Love beats hate. Understanding. Data understood their conflict better than Lore did. Beautiful. Great scene. Great combination of scenes. I enjoyed the hell out of it. It's what I expected would happen. I kind of figured at some point we were going to get a Data versus Lore in basically a digital sphere. But it was a thinking man's fight. It was no action, no fisticuffs. Don't need no pew-pew. It was Star Trek. Beat him with a well-laid-out plan. Beat him with logic. Beat him with understanding. Because Star Trek's about understanding things. And Data understood what this was about. With that, Data is victorious. Data is victorious. He comes out of it. Ooh, hey, everybody. Hey, all right. I'm here. You're here. I understand the plan. Let's do it. Data immediately jacks into the Titan. Picard tells Jack, now. Jack's little device is not a bomb. It is, in fact, a portable shield generator. He covers himself and Seven in a shield because everybody else is protected behind doors. Data, in a very fun way, it's a very great line, "Attention, crew of the Titan and monologuing protoplasms. This is your pissed off android's positronic security system. I'm here to get your ass." Data takes over everything. It's great. In one foul swoop, it's what I said would happen. Data would get victory for them. They bring on Riker and Worf and Deanna and Raffi. Everybody gets isolated. Now we get a montage of stuff. Data isolating the changelings. We get a really dumb scene, and this is one of the only scene I really hate. A dumb scene of Raffi with 2 daggers taking on 4 changelings. Ugh, no, I didn't need that. I would have rather seen Worf do it. Why? Well, I guess you had to give Raffi something to do. I don't know. That's the one point minus on this episode. I didn't see Raffi kicking ass. Didn't need to see that. That's Kurtzman Trek, though. It's a holdover from Kurtzman Trek. Probably in her contract or something, whatever. It's great. Then, here's the culmination. Picard gives the order, open the emergency evacuation on the bridge. Because Jack and Seven are protected by a shield, and Vadic, with her thug or not, Vadic gets spaced. She drops an F-bomb on the way out, F-ing solids. I don't appreciate that. I still do not appreciate cussing in Star Trek. It's not done belong there. I'm in that camp. But still, it's great. Vadic's defeated. Vadic is done. She gets frozen in space, smashes literally up against the Shrike into hundreds, maybe thousands of little pieces. Vadic is done. The Titan is retaken by her crew. Shaw and Seven come out, and this happens.
Give it everything we've got. Fire!
Victory! Victory! Yes! It's a great moment. Seven lets Shaw and the rest of the bridge crew out. Shaw, in a great moment of, we still got work to do, sits down, looks up at Seven and says, "Commander, you can have the honors." Thank you. Seven goes to the Bajoran tactical officer. "Target the enemy ship." "With pleasure, ma'am." "With pleasure." Gets it, lock on, you saw fire! Shrike is done. Vadic is done. Our hound dog enemy, our thug enemy, our enforcer enemy, defeated in great fashion. We didn't need Listen, I like a good spaceship battle, but I like the way this played out. It's the way it plays out in Star Trek. They won this through internal tactics without giant pew-pew combat resolution. It was, we won it, we got it done, and now let's just blow the ship up. Because the Titan was never going to beat the Shrike in a one-on-one. The Shrike is a better armed ship, and the Titan's being held together by spitting crazy glue at this point. Either way, victory! It's awesome. Now we get Aftermath. The remaining last 10 minutes or so is the wrap-up. We get some great character interactions. Data and Geordi are leaving Engineering Bay, and I get that exchange I wanted. They're talking. Geordi says, "Data, I'm so glad you're here." And while they're talking, though, he notices that Data uses a contraction. Data goes, "Yeah, I use a contraction? I guess I can." He makes a joke amidst that, and Geordi realizes, wait a minute, you made a joke too. It's just a beautiful interaction between friends, but at the core of it, at the end of the conversation, Data says, "Geordi, even though I'm a new me, and there's going to be some changes and this and that, you're still my best friend, and I'm glad that we can hang out together again." And Geordi's happy too. It's a great buddy bros moment. It's a great buddy bros moment. I got the warm and fuzzy feels. Then we move on. More good stuff. We get what we have been waiting for. That's right. The crew of the Star Trek Enterprise D/E are reunited once more. They're meeting up in the ready room to discuss the next stage of what they need to do. Data walks in. Everybody's happy to see Data. He's in a uniform too. We get everybody at the table, and notice this. I caught this when they're scanning Worf. Worf's now in a uniform as well. For a second, it's like, wait, why is Worf in yellow? Why is he in yellow? Last we saw, he was on command track all those years. Doesn't matter. Know why? Notice the 4 pips. Worf made captain off camera, baby. Yes, Captain Worf. Captain Worf. And it makes sense that he's wearing yellow because he's in security again. It's all about security. He's not being command. He's in security. Makes sense. I'm okay with it. At least that's the way my Star Trek logic maps it out for me to make me okay with it. But Worf, 4 pips for Worf, baby. Yeah. We basically, though, get the entire original crew. They have a lot of nice exchanges. There's a great exchange between Picard and Data about, I hope that you didn't, I hope you're not angry that we went against your wishes of death from earlier Kurtzman Trek. And I think that basically this might be what some have talked about who have seen it, giving a middle finger to Kurtzman Trek, with Data saying, I'm sure that me is at peace, but I'm real happy to be here with my friends. And everybody's happy. Like I said, we get some great exchanges between everybody, but then we're down to business. We are hours away from, Fleet Day, from Founding Day, whatever else it's called. We're hours away from that. We only know part of what's going on, but we know it's involving Jack. Deanna, ever since coming on board, has sensed not a darkness within Jack, but a darkness surrounding him, a foreign darkness. And it's not him, but he's connected to something ancient, she says. And now here is where we're in the final minutes. I knew this was coming. I knew they were going to make me wait till next week. Deanna, and here's where I guess Deanna comes into play. Deanna, with her counseling techniques and being half Beta Z and telepathic, Jack agrees to sit down with her. They are now going to go into Jack's mind, and it's time to open the red door. Jack is afraid of the red door. He's always been afraid of the red door. He doesn't want to do it. Deanna tells him, you're not alone. I'm here with you. We're going to do this together. Are you ready? He says, okay. And as they do it, as he's reaching for that knob, you hear that voice that has been speaking to him for 7 episodes now. Jack. Woo! That's basically it, though, guys. That's episode. We're here. We're done. Let's move on, do recap, and painfully wait for next week. Only 2 more episodes, and then we're done, unfortunately, because this has been fun. I've enjoyed this. This was, as I told you when we started this review, not a very deep episode in terms of some of the complex themes or overall Star Trekkiness that we've talked about in other reviews. This is about resolution. It was about finishing off one of our antagonists in a very Star Trek way. The crew finally coming back together and getting everything done so we can have 2 more hours essentially devoted to the remaining plot. What is going on in Jack's head? What ancient thing that has been quiet and weakened, or whatever Deanna says, what is he connected to? What was Picard connected to it? He didn't have aromatic syndrome. It's something else. And we're going to find out what it is next week. And as I said, it's painful to wait that long. I want it now. To my friends who are going to binge it all, I hate you that you're going to binge it in a couple of weeks, where I've had to wait patiently for 9 weeks. I started watching in week 2, but 9 weeks, week by week. I want to know now. But such is the life of reviewing something. You must do it every week. You can't just sit back and wait to be done. That is the privilege of a viewer, not a reviewer. Either way, I liked everything about this episode. It was a lot of fun. The jokes were good. Only 2 problems I had. The Riker Troy stuff, like I said, it was little mushy, little schmoopy. I didn't really like it. It relied a little too much on Kurtzman Trek. At the same time, although I think it was giving a middle finger to Kurtzman Trek as well when they said, we hate this planet we're on. Secondly, also, Raffi kicking ass. kicking ass in the hallway. I would have rather seen Worf kicking ass in the hallway. All the classic character interactions were so on point. The resolution of the end of Lore. This is really Lore defeat. This is Terry Matalas tying up loose ends again. Lore was defeated in season 7, but his parts. He was just parts. He wasn't defeated. Now this is it. This digital ghost that was Lore, that Data overrode and basically tricked. That is the last of Lore, and his memories are now a part of Data 2.0. I'm excited. I love it. Every little bit was fun. And I really want to know what's going to happen next. I really want to know what's up with Jack, this ancient thing that's been calling to him. And where did it start? Are we going to find out how connected to Picard? And Frontier Day, and I know it's Frontier Day now. I made a mistake in the previous segments. Frontier Day, we're hours away. I know, unfortunately, one of our theories got debunked from last week because we love Critical Drinker, but he flat out spoiled it on last week's open bar, saying Janeway does not appear in this, despite all their alluding to her throughout the season. There will be no Admiral Janeway. We may still get other cameos. I don't know. I don't appreciate that kind of spoiler. I work very hard to not spoil things for people. I think that was a little careless of the drinker. It was careless. It wasn't cool. But hey, that's just me. I hate being spoiled, and I get salty over that. Either way, though, we are now 2 episodes away from the end. I'm ready for it. I'm hoping we get a little more on Vadek's boss, the changeling in charge, before this is over. I kind of hope we get a little bit more on him. We got 2 episodes to go, so I think we might. Got enough time to really flush. I think it's just enough time to flush it out. If a single Star Trek episode could flush out a villain, I think we can, in the olden days, I think we can get enough time to flush out this head honcho changeling before it's all said and done. Either way, the crew is back together. We're going to do next week it's going to be a mental episode. Probably a good chunk of it's going to be in Jack's head or connected, whatever he's connected to. And remember, Star Trek has set the stage for this. In TNG Season 7, when Deanna had to go into Loxana's head when she found out about her dead older sister, that episode has creeped me out. We've done the mental thing before, where we've gone into somebody else's mind and done that. There's precedence for this. I'm excited for it. I'm ready for it. Let's finish this out. What else can I say? I want it now. But I don't get it now. I get it next week. I will see you next week. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, hit that like button, share it around. If you're new here, check out the channel, subscribe. I'll see you next week, guys. Until then, take it easy. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you'd like to reach out to me, please email me at therarenerd@gmail.com for all channel business purposes. I am on Twitter now, mostly for promotion and sharing of videos, maybe a little shit stirring here and there, who knows, @TheRenNerd. You can also find me at the Geeks and Gamers forums under @ROAS, and you can see me on Rumble and Odyssey under the Renaissance Nerd. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy.